Thank you so much, Avalldar, for being here with me on this podcast, and I look forward to having this conversation with you. So, to the very few ones who don't know who you are, would you like to present yourself?
Okay, so I go by the name of Avalldar, and yeah, I'm pretty much an astrologer. That's still incredible for me to present myself as an astrologer. Like, I, it's incredible. I don't even know how it started, to be honest. Like, everything just came together, and so here we are. I am an astrologer, maybe also a philosopher, because I started there before I went into before I started talking about astrology. So yeah, astrologer, philosopher, that's me. A consciousness speaking and sharing ideas with people.
And we are so lucky that we get to witness you and your work like every
Thank
day.
you so
It's
much.
yeah, it's wonderful. So So, your presence online and the way
Mm-hmm.
you speak about things and the energy that comes out of your words helps me to embody my own Pluto in Scorpio and like this redefinition of
Wow.
society. And yeah, I feel so well, like so good about seeing your work every day and seeing that yes, it is possible to change perspectives and adopt new, very deep and very strong and very based on facts reflections. So let's go.
I am very happy. I am very happy about that. I am very happy to be able to assist you in a certain manner to connect to yourself on a deeper, higher level. I am happy I can do that.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure you're having this effect on a lot of people. So thank you. So how did it start for you? Like how did you start speaking publicly and also like diving into astrology?
Well, it's how did it start? Mm, it started because I was seeking for myself and I was seeking for God. This is how it all started, to be honest. I was so as I was saying, it all started pretty much when I was 14 years old, looking for who I was, looking for God. I was pretty much lost, and I was looking for answers. Why am I here? What is my role in the world? Do I have a meaning? Do I have a purpose? And so I, while I was looking for myself, I ended up discovering astrology. It's pretty my journey with astrology is pretty interesting because it didn't give me the answer I was looking for about myself until up until recently, but it gave me answers for others. So when I realized that I was able to understand, to communicate with the planets, with the stars, and to somehow guide people. This is how I started diving more into astrology with my friends, with my family, and it has helped me to connect to God a lot. I like for me, astrology is one way God talks to us through the stars. And so this is how I started going online. And when I first arrived on Twitter, actually, it wasn't even about astrology. I was having my spiritual awakening. And I arrived on Twitter pretty much as a philosopher. And because I was onto astrology, at some point in my studies, I don't know, I ended up in on Astro Twitter because I don't know what I was looking for. I can't remember, but I ended up on someone's Twitter page and they were speaking about astrology, and I figured that I could also speak about astrology myself. But yeah, I hope I didn't digress too much because sometimes I struggle, going straight to the point, but this is pretty much it. I was looking for God and for myself
I'm
in the
all
stars.
he I'm all here for the digressions. Like this is this is what we want. I also wanted to ask you. I think you have headphones on because the sound is like moving as well with you. Is it possible to
No,
remove
I
them?
don't. I
No.
don't. But
Okay.
is the sound like is the sound good? Or
Sometimes
maybe would you
sometimes it's moving. It feels like something's moving. If it's possible to not move it, or like I
wait,
don't know.
I will try to stabilize my how can I do that? Wait.
Don't worry.
I will. I didn't take the headphones because I feel like the mic might not work. So
I get it.
is it better like this?
It's so good right now. I can hear you perfect.
Okay, I will try to focus. It's me. My hands are moving. I am holding my phone and my hands are moving. So I will try to focus so that the sound can be steady.
Thank you. Thank you so much. To go back to astrology,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know either like how I got there, but when I was a kid, a lot of people had those little books with like the astro for the year for their sign. And
Mm-hmm.
I looked
Yeah.
and I was like, they have like the secret books. Like this is pure gold, I'm sure. This is gonna help them towards their year. And I was not
Mm-hmm.
allowed to read mine. And I was like, fuck, what is this? Like, I want to know. I really want to know. But I was 10 years old, so of course not. Not the Scorpio booklet for you guys. Uh, but yeah, then I got back to it eventually. But I used to live in Turkey, and in Turkey, when
Mm-hmm.
they ask for your name, they ask you for your sign. They're like,
Oh,
what's your
wow.
name? What's your sign? And you're like, okay.
Wow.
So I
That's
had,
pretty dope.
yeah, it's amazing. They're really into any kind of connection with the stars. Like you drink your coffee, and at the end, they're gonna turn it and read your coffee, and they're like, "Okay,
Mm.
your future is this," and this is so usual in their daily lives, even though you don't know the people. So yeah, that's how I got into it. But let's go into the depth of you're analyzing events and people with astrology, and
Mm-hmm.
you're making so many connections, and you go very 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 deep, and I love to see your timeline. And I wonder, do you have like another project in mind with all of your research, maybe in a book or maybe something else? I don't know.
Actually, I've already wrote a book that I finished to write.
I can't
Maybe
hear
should
you
I?
right now. It
Do you
just
want me
cut.
to give a few details on the book?
Yeah, can you start
Oh,
again about the
I
book?
was saying.
The sound went away.
Okay, all right. So as I was saying, I I already have a book that I finished writing in June. Maybe I should give a few details about that. Do you mind me
Of course,
explaining
please
what the
go
book is
on.
about?
I want to buy it now.
So basically, the book was about, practicing astrology from a self-centered perspective. Why do I say self-centered? I say that because when we look at our birth charts, we look at the planets, but we also look at the houses. And usually, people go like first house, from the first house to the sixth house, it is all about me. And from the seventh house to the 12th house, it is about others. And at some point, maybe this is because I have a lot of placements in houses that are above the horizon. So between the seventh and the 12th house, this is probably for that I started looking for a way to look at these houses from a personal stance, because I refuse to look at my chart and say, okay, uh, I have Mars in the seventh house, and this is all about others. No, this is also about me. So the point of this book was really to look at these houses differently. How can the seventh house be about me? The seventh house is not just about romance, about my lover. It can be about me, about my shadow, about qualities I need to integrate into myself. Because if the first house is what I am, then the seventh house, which is opposite to it, shows what I am not. But if we consider that we are trying to be balanced people, then maybe I need to work with my seventh house and to integrate the qualities that are in there in order for me to be more balanced. You see what I mean?
I
And
totally
so it goes
understand.
on with the eighth house, because if the second house is my belongings, what I have, the eighth house represents what maybe what I lack, what I do not have, what I need, what I am going after. And I have to balance that. How can I, from the second house, go after what I want, after what I need, which is in the eighth house? How can I work with its axis? And so on. I feel like the houses in the chart, they aren't just opposite. They are connected. We need to work with the whole axis. We need to have a complete approach, not just a slice, like the whole axis. I feel like this is more interesting to more more efficient to look at things from how to say that, from a more whole perspective, and to center it around ourselves, to not always look at others when we work with these houses. We are complete people. This is not I am a person and someone else completes me. No, it is true that I can work with others, but ultimately I am a whole person. So my whole chart can also be about me and only me.
Thank you.
So
Yeah. Thank you. You made me like have new epiphanies in my mind when you were speaking. So my eighth house in Aries is making so much sense right now.
yeah, yeah. If you want, we can discuss that later, because I am still hesitating about sharing this book because, sometimes I think about it and I feel like I am either a genius or a complete idiot. I don't know. I just don't know if this can really make sense to other people. So I've been keeping this book with me like a little baby, like a mom protecting her little baby, and I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting with the book. I'm not sure about whether I should share it. How can I share it? I'm still thinking about it. And I have also other books that I would like to work on. This is always my work is essentially centered about perspective. So as I told you, the first book was about self-centered perspective, and now I want to invite people to look at their chart from a rising perspective, because um, the way our birth charts are set up entirely depends on our rising sign. The rising sign will, influence all the other houses. Having a Leo rising means that you have high chances of having a Scorpio fourth house, an Aquarius seventh house, and so on. And like this is not the same as having an Aries rising or a Capricorn rising. And the rising position influences the way we interact with the signs, because having Virgo in the second house isn't the same as having it in the 11th house. It means that we are all working, excuse me, we are all working with all zodiacal energies at different levels. And this is important. I feel like we need to focus more on that. Like, where are my zodiacal energies in my chart, and what am I supposed to do with them? How am I supposed to work with Virgo? How am I supposed to work with Libra? I feel like this is important, and I feel like we do not look at these things enough. So, I would like to dive onto that.
I love this.
So
And
this is pretty much all I've been working on lately.
I look forward to it, and I would be the first one to go to your classes or your books. I mean, let us know when it happens. And what about the,
I
like when
will.
you talked about the archetype, like the zodiacal energies during the lockdown, I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
move much. And I started looking at the
Mm-hmm.
sky and I knew where the moon was in the sky. So I'm like, okay, so Taurus energy is there. So I would send Reiki to this part of the sky and then turn around and be
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so Gemini is here. And then I would just do my usual astro Reiki based on the sky instead of
Mm-hmm.
based on the chart. And I love that. Like
Mm-hmm.
being like those energies are physically there. It was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So I recommend others to try that, and I hope you can try that as well, if that
I
sounds like
will. I
fun.
will. It must be very interesting and very refreshing to work with the sky like that. So I will definitely try it. I've been slacking a little bit on my Reiki lately, but I need to pick it up back, and I will. I definitely will.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna be the teacher here right now. You do what you want. Um, but have you seen, maybe, there's like the asteroid Reiki, we talked about this together. Have you seen
Mm-hmm.
things in astrology regarding hands-on healing, or like would which house would it be for you?
Healing. Actually, this is something I have mentioned in my book. Um, Healing would be the sixth house, 12th house axis, because as you know, we are pretty much spirits incarnated in bodies, right? Incarnated literally means incarnate, so like in flesh, spirits in the flesh. This is literally all we are. And the sixth house pretty much represents our body, not on a physical, like, how to say that? The first house will be the body, the appearance, if we are short, tall, maybe strong, soft, other things like that. And the sixth house will be the maintenance. It will be our health. It will be how we keep up with ourselves, with our body on the long run. And this part of our relationship with our body, because health is that, it is our relationship with our body. Are we well? Are we good? Are we sick? It is a relationship. So this part of our relationship with our body highly depends on what is happening in the 12th house. The 12th house is energy, it is spirit, it is our mind, it is where we pull from when we meditate, when we do Reiki, also, you know, like those are energies we tap into. So those two houses, they are, I feel like those are the houses that get activated in pretty much almost any kind of healing, maybe not things like surgery, but you know, any kind of healing that involves the body and the mind and the spiritual connection. This is the 6th and the 12th house, maybe the 3rd house, because you know, 3rd house is intellect, communication, and the hands, they go into intellect and communication. We communicate with our hands. Even with Reiki, we communicate through our hands. So you know, 6th house, 12th house, and 3rd house, in that order.
That's amazing. I'm so happy about this. Those houses are so, I don't know, I just love them. Those archetypes as well. I want to, do you have a question for me, or maybe like something you'd like to start as a theme of conversation?
I've told you how my journey with astrology started, and I am pretty much curious about how your journey with Reiki started.
All right. So the first time I touched energy, the first time I witnessed the fact that energy healing was working, was when I was working at Disneyland Paris.
Oh.
Yeah, I was doing a very physical job there. I was,
Mm-hmm.
doing one of the characters. So it's very heavy.
Oh.
The costumes are super heavy. And a friend of ours, who was working
Mm-hmm.
there as well, was giving us energy healings during the breaks. And that was pretty
Oh
cool.
wow, that's
S-
amazing.
Yeah, she's a kinesiologist. She's French. And she would just
Wow.
give us the tools and be like, if you do this, the chi is going to flow. And we would have instant
Wow.
relief. And she was in the beginning of our studies. So I was like, I'm gonna be your test buddy. Like whatever you need to try on someone, like I'm here. And so I
Mm-hmm.
did. I went to her own cabinet, her own space, and she tried things on
Mm-hmm.
me and she spoke to my muscles. She would whisper. Kinesiology is basically you touch a vein and you feel the blood pulse, and then you speak to the blood,
Wow.
and the blood answers.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, she would tell me things that I don't know, but my body knew. And I was like, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
this is so incredible. I've met someone like that. I
Mm,
went to her house. I laid on her. I don't know. She had a space in which we could lay, and she would. She had little stones, maybe runes. I think I am not sure, and she would pull them, all across my body, and then she would ask me questions. Like she would say, "This part of your body is feeling like this. Why? This part of your body wants to tell you this. Why are you not communicating? Why are you not communicating? Why are you not listening? Why are like it was incredible because, she was telling me things about me without me having telling her. She was just using the stones and listening to what my body had to say. Such things are incredible. Like this is incredible, mind blowing.
Mind blowing, truly. And yeah, so with her, I was like, I came out of the session being like, what just happened? And I didn't study anything. I was like, okay, this happened. Wow. And we stayed friends. And in the meantime, I moved to Turkey and I studied different things. I was looking to heal myself. So astrology was a part of this. The Chiron
Mhm,
asteroid was a part of it. And one day
mhm,
I heard my guides being like, okay, just you have to study something new. And I said, sure, just show me the next thing that you show me. That is a class, I'll
mhm.
just do it. And within a few hours or like the day after, I don't remember, but it was so clear. It was just Reiki. And I was like, all right, I'll just click on join and study that. And I spent I spent the summer studying all the levels, being super happy, and then I just started practicing. And a year later, they were like, "You have to teach this," and I'm like, "All right." And
Let's
I
go.
started Reiki school. Yeah, I always love the fact that I don't use Reiki on its own. It's always like a mixture of gene keys, human design, and like listening to things. But it's the part that I was missing when I was just in human design or gene key. There was no unfolding for me. It was not enough. So
Mhm.
it really was a missing piece to make things happen instead of just
I see.
trying to read things. And yeah, now my body does a lot of different things that I don't understand, but it's helping people. So cool.
So you've been doing human design?
Yeah, and gene keys mostly. So in all of my sessions, I have the gene key profile of the people, and
Mhm,
we do some kind of talk therapy where we talk, we just dig. I am in the people's akashic records, so I'm in their records.
I see.
I feel their body. I understand what's happening. I ask them good questions so that the shadow work can be done, and
I
all of it
see.
happen. It's intense, but this is this is my way of doing it, I guess, and it's
Mhm.
evolving. So yeah.
I've been I have been pretty skeptic about human design because I've discovered it long ago, maybe 10 years ago actually. And when I first started looking at things there, the thing that how to say that threw me off in a certain manner is that um, I feel like the way this system is set up is too, I don't know. We have archetypes in there, and I feel like it is too rigid and not fluid enough. Because, as I told you, I use spirituality as a connection with God, and I felt like um, human design was too far removed from a connection with God, and too, I feel like it is so precise, then we cannot even really focus on the bigger picture with human design. And the other thing that um, threw me off also is that we cannot use sidereal with human design, because, as you know, I practice astrology from a sidereal perspective. So the fact that we do not have that in this practice was a bit annoying to me.
I totally understand.
Also, I have to be honest. I am not an expert in human design. My perspective is from what it is from the bits and pieces that I saw, because I said it is a little bit far too removed, but I might be wrong in that, because I must admit that the system is pretty well crafted. There is a lot of organization into that. But for me, it's just a little bit too far, a little bit too rigid. There are too many boxes. This is what I meant, like really boxes. And this is not, I feel like this does not allow for fluid organic growth when working with the planets there.
I totally agree with you. And this is like, I use pieces of it, but this is why Jinki is something that you should look for, because Jinki is based on human design, but it's super spiritual. It's a path, it's a flow, it's a circuit of energies. And the gates in human design are very like you're
Yeah.
this. And Jinkies is
Mm-hmm.
like, there's a shadow, there's a gift, and there's a city. There's You're always gonna
Yeah.
flow between those three stages. It's like evolutionary. So Jinkies is it's my Bible. I love it so much. I really recommend you trying it. We also
I
had
will.
two amazing interviews about it on the podcast. I'll send them to you. It's with Bella Crystal, and she explains the different parts and how the energy moves. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's the breaking of the boxes, and it's the ever flowing conversation between the personality, the incarnation, and your soul. And I'm just in love
Ooh.
with it. Yeah, it's so
Oh,
helpful.
I feel like I will be able to connect with this system greatly, because, this already speaks to me.
And through sessions, it's so to the point. When I have someone's profile and I see the spheres, and you can see like the wound of people, you can see what they're going to attract, kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
descendant. And the way you spoke about astrology in the beginning made me remind like just jinkies, jinkies, jinki. It's so powerful. I'm so excited to see what you're gonna do with it. All right, I'm gonna send you everything I have. It's so good. And even the man who speaks and who uh, was a human design
Mm-hmm.
expert, and then got the download about gene keys, is such a light. Like the way he speaks about things, the way he's so open about things, it's just amazing to watch. So yeah, whereas human design, it's a little bit like, if you read my human design, I sound like a horrible person. It's really it's really not cool. It's super like, you are selfish. I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you, human design. Yeah, do you know what your type and like profile? Do you remember your chart?
Oh, well, I don't. Um, I think I am something like 5'3" or something like that. I am not sure. I do not remember exactly. And they said I was a generator, I think, because we have manifesting generator, reflector, I think, and then I do not remember exactly what we have. But yeah, I think
Okay.
generator and 5'3", I
So
think, yeah, something like that.
5'3" doesn't exist, but maybe 3'5".
Yeah, it's something like that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm so sorry. As I told
Don't
you, I do
worry.
not remember what do we have. Do you recall the pairings. Maybe I will recall mine if you tell me what we have in there.
Yeah, there's 1 2 1 3 1 4 1 5,
Mm-hmm.
2 1 2 2 2 3 2. Wait, I think we should just go and look and do your thing.
Does 3 5 exist? I'm sorry because the
Three
sound
three
cut again
five.
for a little
Yeah,
moment.
3 5 does exist. But I
Maybe
I
it was
I'm
3 5. I'm sorry. As I
yeah.
told you,
Don't worry.
I
But
remember a 3 and a 5 somewhere, but I was not sure, so
okay, and I would love
I'm
to
not
help
sure.
you figure out the beginning if you want. Like whenever you want, I could just do your chart and like pinpoint some things that you could study and enjoy and have fun with.
Are
Yeah.
you able to do that with Sidereal
No,
or
but
Sidereal?
yeah, yeah. No one knows. Just yeah, Vedic.
But not even Vedic. I'm sorry to be
Yeah, yes,
interrupting you
yeah,
because,
you're right.
like, I would
Mhm.
like it's not even Vedic. It's or Sidereal. I'm sorry to everyone that is listening if I am butchering the pronunciation, but we are French over here, so sometimes it's complicated. I think it's Sidereal. I will say that from now on. So as I was saying, I need people to understand that Vedic is not sidereal. Vedic is Jayadish. They have their own system of astrology and they use sidereal calculations. But sidereal is a system, it is a way of calculating. Sidereal is a calculation. It is not um, how to say that, it is not Jayadish in itself. So we have Vedic sidereal and we have Western sidereal. But sidereal does not equal to Vedic or Jayadish. It does not equal to that. Sidereal can exist outside of that. Because I see a lot of people that are starting to get acquainted with astrology, and for them, sidereal is Jayadish. This is not true. I would like for people to stop doing that. Honestly, they need to stop. This is not, because everything will become confusing if people continue to do that. We need to clearly separate the two systems.
You are right.
So this was maybe a bit severe, maybe a little bit severe in the way I said it, but it is important because it isn't like, so we can all have a clear mind and a clear representation of what we are doing and what is going on.
You are true. You're right. So you do tell us about, like tell us about what you do exactly. Right now your readings are opened again. So are they? Right, they are.
Yes, they have been open again. What do? I do birth chart readings. So I do quick birth charts overviews in which I review the birth charts of people. I review all placements: Sun, Moon, Rising, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Midheaven. But like, it is a quick review, and then I have a more extensive reading, which is the detailed birth chart analysis, in which I really take the time to review each placements and most aspects that a planet makes to other planets in the birth chart. So those have been the readings that I have been doing since, I don't recall, since last year, I think. I have been doing them on and off, you know, and then there is this new thing that I do that I call decompass. And to me, this one is very, very exciting. Actually, I might even stop doing, basic, or like, the regular birth chart analysis and focus on the compass. What is it? I'm gonna tell you. The compass is when I look at people's birth charts, but I only focus on the nodal axis. So the north node and the south node. These placements are really important in our birth chart because they are indicators of our purpose, of why we are here and what we are supposed to do. It goes beyond the ego because we already know that in astrology we have the midheaven. The midheaven is our personal zenith in our birth chart. So it will represent our ambitions, what we want for ourselves, the way we see ourselves at our best. Your midheaven is when you consider you are your strongest self, the most accomplished version of yourself. But there is more to that. There is more to ego. There is more to when I grow up, I will be this. There is more to that. There is also like there is I will be this, but why? Why will I be this? Why do I want to do that? What will I do from that? Why will I do from what I want to be? You know, like we are, but there is more to just being. There is what we do in this universe. We are here for a reason. And so for me, it is very exciting to focus on the nodal axis. I focus on the nodal axis in relation to the whole birth chart. I put planets in relation to the nodal axis. I put houses in relation to the nodal axis because the houses in which the north node and the south node are in are very important. And so I really like focusing on that. I have had pretty good feedback already on the few of those reading that I have made, and this is very exciting to me because people feel like they finally find a direction. And this was my main purpose with this reading. This is why I called it the compass. And this is also kind of a pun because the compass is the item we use to find the north. See what I mean? And the north
Hmm.
node in astrology is the direction we need to follow. So to me, this was an interesting way of putting all of it together.
I love that. Thank you so much. And you do this using Western sidereal
Exactly. Yes.
astrology.
I do this using Western sidereal, but if people want me to work with tropical astrology, I do it too. Because while for me, sidereal is much more authentic, I do recognize that different ways um, of practicing astrology serve different purposes. And if people relate more to their tropical birth chart, this is their business. And I will do my best to guide them to navigate through their tropical birth chart. You know, at the end of the day, I am just here to assist people and help them um, understanding their birth charts and their purpose on a deeper level. I am not here to block people and say no. Me, I use sidereal for me, so you will use sidereal for you. I do not do that. I am flexible. Flexibility is important. You know, life is not rigid. Life is flexible and multidimensional. And this is exactly the way that I practice astrology for myself and for others.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to enter a little bit more the theme that we mentioned before. How do you work with the idea of you being in a society and you being connected with God? Would you is like how is your daily life, for example, or how has astrology changed the way you understand? Of course, we talked about God, but how do you understand your space in society?
My space in society. This is a pretty complex question.
I know.
My place, excuse me, in society and in relation to God. You know, I will try to explain this in the best way I can. I hope people will understand. I hope you will also understand me. So, as I told you, we are all here for a reason. Like, our presence here has a meaning, and I feel like um, my best contribution to society is being myself and focusing on doing what I like, what I feel called to do, and minding my own business. Doing what you are here for is your best contribution to society, because people do not realize it, but um, everything that we feel called to do is pretty much in alignment with what God has planned for ourselves. Like, whether you consider free will or fate doesn't matter. Even if you feel like you have free will, like, how to say that? People do not realize that you can have free will and feel like you chose what you wanted, but like the things that you could choose from, they were put at your disposal by God itself, and you choose from there. So, did you exert free will, or did you just agree with one of the things that God proposed to you? Like, like see, like, things get, for me this is a little tricky, but this is how it works. People do not realize it. You exert your free will um, among what God has planned for you. And so, as I was saying, because this was a little digression, people really need to focus on that, to do what they feel called to do. Like, this is important, because when you do what you feel called to do, this is your best contribution to the world. You were put here for that. And so, me, I wouldn't know exactly how to define my personal contribution to society. I contribute to society on a metaphysical level. I do not necessarily contribute physically. I do not do physical labor, but I am here to I am here to invite people to open their minds. This is funny that you are asking me this question, because before we started talking this morning, I was on Twitter and I realized something, and I thought about it. I think that I said that one thing about me is I will challenge predefined perspectives, because if there is a breach somewhere, for me, this is a potential new path. If there is a breach, there is a way, and if there is a way, there is a new perspective, there is a new horizon, and this is just expansion, because this is going where nobody went before. I feel like this is my personal contribution to society. My personal contribution to society is poking the holes, poking into the breaches, and carving new path. And, like, not just for me. Sometimes I will just poke, and the breach will break, and it will be a door, but not for me, for someone else. Me personally, I feel like I am just a little an energy that is poking here and there, thinking about things, reflecting, and other people, if they are able to connect into this energy that I am, they will notice the holes into which I poked, and they will notice that this is not a hole but a door. This is what I am doing here for now. For now, this is what I am doing here, challenging the system, opening doors, and just being everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
I love this. I love this,
So
and it
I hope this was understandable because this is pretty complex, and I digressed a little bit, but I hope this still made sense.
It does. It's very much like the compass. It's like your north node. You come from somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
your south node, and you're creating bridges based on things that you clearly state to us reading you. And we know where you come from, and you know where you and we discover where you're going. And you are
Mm-hmm.
creating those bridges. You said doors, and I also see the bridge, the idea of, again, the balance between two ends of the spectrum. You're creating connections between, between fear and love, or between being honest and not being honest, or like, you're analyzing the world and celebrities and events and
Yes,
people, and you're creating those new spectrums of understanding the human experience.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is something I forgot to tell. Thank you for reminding me this. Thank you for reminding me of a part of myself. Another thing that I do is connecting the dots, because for like my work here is not, as I told you, my work here is not physical. It is mental. It is spiritual work. I observe. I observe a lot. If you see me in a room with people, you might see that like you might see that I might observe more than I speak. And when I speak, people are usually mind blown. Like, I do not say this to brag, but it is because um, I observe everything around me and I connect the dots. I connect the dots all the time. My mind works analogically. I will see something here and then I will see something there, and I will see how the two things are similar and how it is possible to connect them together. And like the connection creates a new path. So this is it basically. I I create path either in connecting things together, or through poking into holes, but I connect. Because even when I see a breach and I poke into it and it creates a new path, like, this is creating a connection between someone and a new way of doing things. So this is that.
Hmm. Hmm. And we need those. We need to know that there is more than one bridge. We need to know that those things are not isolated. Everything is connected.
Exactly.
And I love the way even your Twitter bio is like dissecting minds with a brain. And I can see that you're just creating new synapses. You're creating this and that. It's connected. That's it. I love that.
Exactly.
I really want to know what your human design
I
is now.
dissect minds and I am everywhere at the same time. This is
Mm.
why in my location, I said that I am where you least expect me to be. Like, actually, this thing comes from, who was it? Is it Eisenberg? I think this is Eisenberg. I'm not sure about the name, so if someone recognize what I'm saying and peeps that this is not the name, I am sorry, but I think this was Eisenberg and the principle of incertitude. I am translating from French, so again, I am not sure this is how this is called in English, but um, what he said is, the more, like, this is a relationship between speed and position. And I think the thing was that the more something is moving and moving fast, and the less we can tell where exactly is this thing positioned. And this is that about me. My mind is constantly moving. It's moving fast. It's everywhere. I connected the dots here. Boom. No, I'm right there. I poke this hole right there. Boom. No, I'm right there again. Then I'm here. I am everywhere at the same time. you cannot know where I am exactly. I am constantly moving and constantly transforming, changing. So you cannot tell exactly who I am and what I am doing. This is why lately I have been defining myself as mostly consciousness, because this is not even about identity anymore,
Mm-hmm.
identity anymore. This is not even about that. This is really about the concept, the ID, the energy, and all of those things, concepts, energies, IDs, all of those things, they are things that move, that change through time, that evolve. This is what I am, and this is what I do.
And this is why you don't have photos of you, or you're pretty much um in the ether, like a 12 house.
Yes, pretty much. This is why I do not have pictures of me. I have maybe one picture of me that is recent, because all the others are just me posting baby pics, when everybody posts their baby pics, but actual pictures of myself, there is one, and actually I should delete it. I should delete it because I am this picture does not even reflect who I am anymore today.
Mm-hmm.
It
And it's
doesn't.
very.
And lately I do not even, I have been, I wouldn't say struggling with having an identity, but it is just when you realize that you have um infinite potential in you, and that you could be everything, at some point identity does not even matter anymore, because this is just ego, and ego will change for me depending on where I am, what I am doing, and the people I am with. So it does not even matter. For me, the experience matters more than the
Mhm,
actual identity. This is that. And the
mhm,
experience, like, we see physical actions, but there is so much more than what we see. We have energies, and then we have also energies that people have not expressed, maybe because they are not aware, or maybe because they are hiding. There is just so much information when some things happen. When an experience takes place, there is so much more than what we see, than the action. This is why identity does not matter to me. This is about the energies at play for me, you know?
I get you. I That's why I renamed myself the shapeshifter as well. Because I can't be that one thing. I'm always moving. I can feel
Exactly.
my other arms that are not visible on camera. I can feel my other bodies, my other incarnations. I can feel so much multidimensionality that I can't
Exactly.
hold on to just get seen. So feels good to feels good to understand someone like that, and to feel that we're going through a journey that has no words. We're going through spiritual awakening, right? It's happening over and over through the years. And we've seen Ramdas and Buddha, and we've seen some people talk about it in very mystical word that kind of hide the secret so that we don't fully so that the secret stays sacred. And in the end, we're just like thousands of us discovering this thing that has no words. And it's difficult. It's not easy. It's amazing, but it's difficult. It's so difficult to be fried in your head and not know how to walk in
Mm-hmm.
the street anymore, or how to define
Mm-hmm.
yourself, because your ego still wants to come in and like say, hey, I'm this and that. It's easier to have an identity, but at the same time it just doesn't fit. So we're going through a journey for many more years that come, where we have
Exactly.
no template. We have no template. We have nothing. And we're all doing new things, which is amazing. It's so good that you have your own, and you have those ways of talking about yourself. And I have my own ways, and
Exactly.
everyone else has their ways. But yeah, to all of you listening, you're not alone. This is amazing and fucking difficult. So stay
And
brave.
so, what you said is important. We have no template. We are doing new things. And I feel like this is a reflection of our times, because we are in a world that is changing. We are in a world that is dying. The world we knew will not be the world um, that we will know. You know, the world is becoming something else, and so everything is changing, and it is becoming something else on so many levels. Because first thing first, we have basic history, the world changing. The world has always been changing and moving, but then we have people realizing that society has been constructed in a way that is not healthy for um, for the people that live within this society. You know, society is has not been made for humans to truly thrive within it. Society has been made by the society we know today is in the continuity of what aristocrats and rich people and politicians have been trying to construct for themselves. And in order to construct their desired world, they have been relying on exploiting other people. And exploiting other people comes through um, comes through cutting the connection people have with God. Because when you truly connect to God, you realize that you have a purpose, and you realize that the life society has chose for you is not in alignment at all with your purpose. And then you realize that there is a problem. This is why today we have so many people that do not feel like they have a place in this world, that even resort to killing themselves because they realize that society has boxes for everybody and that they do not fit these boxes. And people, when they see that the world doesn't have a place for them, they this is one of the first reasons why people do not even realize that they are connected to God. They just see a horrible world that they need to get away from. So they get depressed because why are they here? Nothing makes sense. They get depressed. Some people will free themselves. I do not want to kill to call that suicide because there is a lot of negative stigma around suicide, but ultimately death is freedom. But this is something else, and I will not digress into that, at least not right now. So as I was saying, you have people that will resort to the ultimate freedom and just move away from this world completely. You have other people that will seek for an answer. Why does this society doesn't have a place for me? What does it mean? Why can I not work properly? Why am I dysfunctional in this world? And they will and we will call that mental illness. But I feel like a lot of things that are considered as mental illness are not even illnesses. Like this is just society refusing to let people um, be who they are. This is where the disease come from. You know, this is not an illness. This is like the disease is more appropriate. This is a dis ease. People are not at ease in this world. They are not connected to God. They are in a world that doesn't make space for them. This is a problem, you know. And so this gets this circles back to the question that you asked me when we started diving more into me, the society, and God. Because me, I am one of these people that didn't see a place for myself in this society. I realized that early. This is why i I connected with astrology, because I refused the choice society had made for me. I was like, no, I am here for a reason and I will find it. And this is because I choose that path that I ended up
being a facilitator for other people in a certain manner. Because as I told you, when I create new pathways, when I see breaches, that means that we are starting to exist outside of the box. If we have a breach, that means we have a wall, in which that breach is installed. And so me, I break the wall. And when I do that, um, we are going out. We are leaving the box, and we are finally doing what we are meant to do. The breach is society trying to put us between four walls, and this is how we are boxed. But you cannot completely how do I say that? Do you know the word for enfermé? I'm sorry, I do not
Yeah.
know this word in English.
Um, encased, I would say.
Yes, we cannot completely encase people, and this is why the breaches are here. You cannot completely encase people, and from there we have to use these breaches, park into them, and reconnect ourselves with the path that was really meant for us in the first place. So, I feel like maybe when I talk with you, I realize even further that my path was really to reconnect with God, and to invite other people to reconnect with God, because it is perfectly possible to connect. Connecting with God is connecting with your purpose, and it is perfectly possible to do that outside of religion. I don't know if we will talk about religion today, but what I know is that religion has been mainly used as a tool of oppression, not only through colonization, but also through, like, even the people that didn't suffer colonization, they have been subjected to religion as a tool of mind control. The way we connect with God does not have to be boxed the way it is today. The way we exist in the world does not have to be boxed either in the way it is today. Me, the society, and God. All of this doesn't exist within a box. This is not possible. This is not possible.
Thank you so much. I want to say a few things. When we talked about, when you mentioned suicide being a liberation, um,
Mm-hmm.
you're here, everyone here listening, you're here for something. Okay, you have a role in this planet. You're needed, you're wanted. Otherwise, you wouldn't
Oh,
be
of
here.
course, of course. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I want to say that because I also had those thoughts a few years ago, and I had a, I was like, you know what? If it doesn't get better by 25, I'm just gonna go. And that was at the height of my pain, and I connected with myself, which we could call
Mm-hmm.
God. I connected with my purpose, my essence. I received help from my guides, and I'm here. I'm
Yes,
here
yes,
until
yes.
I'm removed from here, and I'm needed in some way. I'm
Of
needed.
course.
So
As
I
I
want,
told you,
yeah, hmm,
yes, as I told, this is why I have been insisting that we are all here for a reason.
exactly.
I've said it many times before, and like
Hmm.
I am so happy that you took the time to insist on that part of what I said, because this is important. I wouldn't want someone hearing my words and think, oh yeah, this is what I was thinking. This is freedom. Let's. I will kill myself. This is not what I want people to. I do
Hmm.
not want people to use my words for that. If you are here, you are here for a reason.
Hmm.
And like as I told you, sometimes for me it is difficult to, like, life is so vast that when I start speaking, for me personally, sometimes it is complicated to not digress, but I feel like we cannot avoid these digressions, because um an important thing is that it is true that death is freedom, but death arrives when it arrives. This is not like if if we feel boxed, as I was saying a few minutes ago, that is not the solution to to be freed from the box. The solution to be free from the box is to break the box. You know, that is like when you play a video games and the game is naturally over. Like I did say naturally over. Like this is not something that the how to say that uh what I'm trying to say here is that I am trying to corroborate what you just say. I am trying to, agree with you constructively. People are here for a reason, and the the true path to freedom is to break the box. Even if death is liberation, it doesn't mean that if you feel boxed, death will save you, because we need you here. You are here and you are loved. And people need to realize that even when you do not see the love around you, you are loved. There are so many timelines. There is somebody out here that loves you, that is your soulmate, that will be your wife, your spouse, your maybe your child. If you do not want to have a child, it doesn't matter. Maybe this is a cat that is waiting to find their human friend, and you are this human friend, and this is about living with you. There are so many things to be done out here. So this is important. This is indeed important that we insist on that. Maybe this is freedom, but this is not the freedom that you are looking for. You came here for a reason, and you need to break the box and to reconnect with God. This is the real freedom that we need to focus on.
And I want to go back to the beginning of our conversation when you said, well,
Mm-hmm.
you do have free will, but God is giving you the options that are set up for you. So it feels like free will, but you're just choosing from those options. It does
Mm-hmm.
feel like the same. Like you don't have the option of killing yourself. Like God didn't put that there. So if you do it,
Exactly.
you're going against the contract. And I would
Exactly.
I want to say something because in sessions I'm helping people with their energy blockages, and we remove the parts of energies from others, and it happens that sometimes someone who killed themselves attached to you. So I've been working with people who committed suicide, and you have to
Oh.
remove them from people's energies, and
Mm-hmm.
it just happens sometimes. And what I understand, and you're more than willing to DM me or you to tell me right now. But what I understand is that when you go before your time, you're just stuck until your real time, and you're just in the 4D floating around. There's no real help that can come to you except you just watch
Yeah,
and
pretty
wait.
much.
So
That's
please
pretty
be on
much it.
Earth instead of being in the 4D where you can't do shit because you're not in a physical body. So stay with us. You have a set, like you have a mission. So come to us. Come to us, get
Mm-hmm.
your services, get your connection with yourself. Remove yourself from
Exactly.
society if you need to, because to break that box that you mentioned, you need hibernation. You need to deconstruct the relation that you have with others and reconnect with who you are, and then
Mm-hmm.
reconstruct towards the communities that are healthy for you. That's what I did as well.
Exactly.
I just removed myself from wherever I was and just studied for a few years and was really good after that. And now I have my own communities and I'm so happy with other people. But there was a time where I couldn't handle other people's energies. That comes with spiritual awakening. I did a whole
Mm-hmm.
blog post podcast about it. Hibernate if you need to continue the lockdown. It's wonderful. And then you'll be back. But yeah, you're here
Yeah.
for a reason.
Exactly. People are here for a reason. And a few minutes ago, I made an analogy with video games. You know, when you play a video game and you die mid game, you are frustrated. And quite frankly, as you said, you are stuck. Because if you want to finish the game, the best thing that can happen is that you will be able to resume the game right where you died until you are able to finish. My point is not that this is not to say that people will have to resume, but like this is not freedom. Like dying mid game is frustration, and it is being stuck because this is not where the end is. Meanwhile, when you finish the game, sometimes you will have frustration. Sometimes a game can be difficult. You will have hard moments. But when you finish a game, because me, I am a big video game player. When I finish a game, this is where bliss is at. You are happy. You finish something. You accomplish your purpose. You finally did it. And this is what people need to understand. You are here for a reason. Your presence in this game is important. Go do the gameplay until the end, even if this is hard. And when you will have finished, you will be happy. You will only think about the good moments. This is all you will think about. You will only remember the things that truly mattered. And you will feel proud of yourself for being here and for sticking through it all, even when you thought you did not have the strength anymore for that. This is very important for people to understand that. Do the gameplay until the end. Do it all.
And there's a liberation in knowing it's a game. It's a game.
Uh-huh.
You can set the settings, you could get the tools. Like in most games, you need the bag, you need the map, you need the sword. Get the
Mm-hmm.
tools. Come to Reiki school, study tarot, study astrology, like understand what the game is.
Exactly.
And then become a player. That's it. You're the player. Player, you play.
Exactly.
Life is kind of fun when you deconstruct from lack, when you deconstruct from suffering. And that's what we're doing on a collective level right now. We're deconstructing from suffering
Mm-hmm.
by going to the utmost suffering. But
Mm-hmm.
life is fun. Like I can, like, really, trust me, anyone listening, I had the hardest life, and now I'm just getting to understand what fun is like for a few months. But it was so painful for
Mm-hmm.
years and years and years and years, and it still is sometimes. I just don't identify with it. I'm just going through an experience. It's the level of the game. It's not me. It's just the situations.
It's exactly, this is that. This is just a level, and maybe it is hard, but it is a level. And like the game, overall, the game is supposed to be fun. And I remember having this breakdown on Twitter a few months ago, maybe last year. The, um, this life is a game, and the people that constructed this society we are in, they understood that, because you have the working class that is often stuck, that is unhappy, that cannot expand, grow, and tap into the things that they are truly meant to do here. But when you look when you look at the elite, this is a certain way of saying things, of course. um, Actors at Hollywood, they play in movies. We have people playing basketball, playing soccer, playing football. We have even politicians. This is a game for them. When you look at them, this is clearly a game for politicians. Like, this is all these people, they are playing, whether it is a role, even musicians. What do? They play instruments, they play music. We are like, this life is supposed to be a playground. People lie to you. This is not work. This is not, you are not supposed to suffer while you're here. You are supposed to play. The people that are happy in this life, they are the one that plays. And this is why kids are happy, because they have time to play. And the adults that do not have the time or the opportunity to play anymore, this is how we end up stuck in lives that do not spark joy anymore, because there is no more play in those lives. There is no more games, just pain.
Exactly. And it might be difficult to understand the energy of playing. I'm a whole Virgo rising, so I'm all about work. But yeah, guys, try. Maybe get a video game and get into it. And maybe if the playing has a lot of practical to-do lists, then that's it. That's your kind of playing. You don't have to be a kid on the ground playing with pastels. But yeah. How do you get into playing, except the video game? How do you get into that energy for yourself?
on the everyday life, how do I get into playing?
Mm-hmm.
Words. I get into playing through words. And I think it has always been like that for me because when I was maybe 4 or 5, I think, I learned to read pretty early, and we had an encyclopedia at home because I mean when I was little my parents they were still going to college, and so a lot of books everywhere around me. So when I was little, how would I spend time? I would read. And when I wouldn't understand word, what would I do? I would go in the dictionary or in the encyclopedia. And for me, it was like a game. I was literally, the game was to find the meaning of things, the game was to understand for me. It was a game. And even nowadays, this is still a game for me because through the years, I learned Latin, and like the French language, this is like, it is roots, it is rooted in Latin. So there is not a single day that goes by without me checking the etymology of a word. Oftentimes I can guess the etymology, but I was always, oh my God, I'm so sorry, y'all. I will always check and recheck because first thing first, I need to make sure, that my ideas, my thoughts are correct, that I am not mixing things up. And secondly, like this is another way for me to connect the dots. Finding meaning is how I connect the dots. Like it is, I don't know how to say that in a way that can be understood, but for me, using words is a way of understanding life on a deeper level and not just the words we use to speak every day. Actually, the words we use to speak every day, they are confusing because there are a lot of connotations. And what are connotations? They are projections. We project good or bad things into words. Meanwhile, when you do Latin, most of the words are not, they are neutral. And this is so, there is so much more that can be done with words when they are neutral. Like for me it just creates a lot of epiphanies to be able to, like it, the neutrality, it is fluidity for me. When things are neutral, it is easier to connect the dots, to evolve into different directions because a connotation, like the direction is already set. It has already been set for you. It is either good or bad. No, when I go to the straight to the source, it is neutral and I am able to work with the words and to evolve with it in in all the ways that it can be, in all the ways that can be followed with the word. It is all multidimensional.
I love this, and I totally understand that. Even when you talked about incarnation, like incarnate, and in the flesh, in the meat,
Exactly.
and we have this chance with French where it's definitely based on Latin and some words in Greek, and we go to the source, and we don't have
Exactly.
the dirty layers that have been added on top of the on the roots,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I loved what you talked about neutrality and fluidity because again we go back to the idea of the north node and the south node and of creating bridges between a gigantic spectrum where you need to be self-centered or just centered in the middle of things and
Exactly.
understanding the extremes and understanding that extremes are expansions and interestings and we don't have to cast a judgment, but you have this divine neutrality when you're in the middle and you're able to look
Exactly.
around and see everything. So it also works with not identifying with things, being the soul,
Mm-hmm.
being the observer of all of this game
Mm-hmm.
around us, remembering that the character that you see on the camera when you play the video game, it's just a play you selected for right now, for this life, for this
Mm-hmm.
party of the game. But who's behind the remote, right? It's your soul.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So thank you for talking about this, and I hope that I hope that it enlightened a lot of other people, and it will make them consult your work and book a reading and like just see
Thank
everything that
you.
you've created. And I hope to see all of your threads in a book or like something like this, or like in an encyclopedia. Like you need your own encyclopedia. I really think this, like astrology by you as an encyclopedia, and then you
I
put
would love
Saturn, and
doing
then you
something
have
like that.
yes.
I would love it.
I'm gonna help you if you need to.
Thank you. If I need your help, I will definitely call you without hesitation.
I would love to know if your name is a creation, or if it's your name, or if it's something that you made with meaning in mind.
Oh, my name. You
Mm-hmm.
mean the name I use on Twitter?
Yes.
Um, it is a creation, but not necessarily from my own mind. It is from the characters on in a video game that I identify with the most. It is a sorcerer and his succubus, and it comes from there. Why? Because this is I identify to them. Is it is not just identifying. I feel like we are extensions of each other. They are me in this video game universe, and since this is a sorcerer and his succubus, we have basically the principle of divine feminine and divine masculine. And I decided to unite them and crystallize them into me. And so here we are. You know, this is, if you play Fire Emblem, we have Valdar. In English, I think this is Validar, and we have a versa. So you take Av and you take Aldar and you have Avalldar. This is pretty much it. And
Thank
this
you.
is just me being magic because they are magicians. So I felt like this was the best way to define myself. And to be honest, I think I was right because this is the identification that have lasted the longest. Because on social media I was always changing names all the time, but this one it stuck with me. I think it's been 2 years now, and I feel like it will at this point I feel like it will stick forever because this is already the name that I used in my work as an astrologer. So
And it reminds us of Avatar as well, which the Avatar is something that is so much bigger than you, and it's kind of your
there is
soul.
definitely this is
Yeah.
definitely a yes, that these are my avatars also. So you are right about that. I forgot that part, but we have definitely the avatar dimension as well into that.
Thank you. Coming live in November. Thank you so much. You
um
wanted to go back to the previous subject, so please go on.
yes, because you mentioned divine neutrality, and to me this word was perfect. Divine neutrality, like, because when we think about it, we often say that duality is an illusion, that this is a divide that does not really exist. And I feel like divine neutrality embodies that perfectly, because divine neutrality just shows that ultimately, if everything is one, it means that extremes are united. And if everything is one, then ultimately, everything is neutral. Divinity is neutrality, pretty much. That's pretty much it. And to be a master at divinity in the way we embody it in ourselves is to be able to go from one pole to another pole. And when you are able to do that and to balance that, this is when you are connected to your divine essence through being neutral. This is where it's at.
I'm 100% with you. I study Kundalini yoga, and in the scriptures, they talk of the fact that in our aura, there's different layers, and there's the positive mind and the negative mind, and those two
Mm-hmm.
are englobed within the neutral mind. So you have to practice and you have to work with those understandings that they're here. Whatever happens, they're here. We don't have to cast a
Mm-hmm.
judgment, they're just expressions. And then you have to be your neutral mind in the middle that understands those both things and then works with harmony. So it's exactly like the spectrum. And I keep working with this, and we're creating a tarot with a friend where we're going into the positive and the negative and then the neutral in
Mm-hmm.
the middle. And I see myself as this person just in the middle with my two dragons, like the blue one and the red one. And it just, nothing is positive or negative per se with a judgment
Exactly.
as we understand it. They're just different spectrums, different extremes, and then no judgments. And there's something I reposted a few days ago that I wrote in December on Instagram. Like, there's no
Mm-hmm.
right and wrong. There's just things that work and things that don't work. It's an algorithm.
Exactly.
So if someone is not right for you, doesn't mean they're not right for you. It just means they don't resonate with your frequency at this point in time and in space. They might have or they might will, but right now it just doesn't work. So just, do your life. But this doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
they're bad. It doesn't mean they're the villain. It doesn't mean you're the villain. It just means you don't resonate. You're not on the same radio frequency. That's it. The math
Exactly.
doesn't work. Do something else. But I'm tired of the
Exactly.
idea of creating villains and like creating projections of someone is bad. It just doesn't work. That's it.
It's as simple as that, really. Like, I remember a few days ago seeing on Twitter somebody mocking people because the person was like, oh, everybody thinks they are intuitive and empath and they can feel other people, but you cannot feel when someone is bad. And I was like, this is not how this works, because first thing first, nobody is bad. And this is pretty much where all the mess, I mean, not really a mess, but you will understand, this is where all the mess comes from, because nobody, ultimately, nobody is entirely bad. You have just people that work with you and that belong into your life, and just other people that you were simply meant to cross paths with. But because life is multidimensional and we are aware that we have so many possibilities at play, when we meet someone, like sometimes, honestly, I feel like when you meet someone, you can feel that it is not necessarily perfectly working, but maybe a few seconds after meeting the person, you are directly exposed into a part of themselves that do works with you, and then you are like, okay, so what I saw first is a thing, but right now I am seeing something that works. And so what it means is that it is a temporary connection, because if you see things that work and things that don't work, ultimately at some point you might, like, grow apart. You might not associate with the person anymore. And also, people are complex, people are changing. Maybe the first thing you saw is something that doesn't work, and then you see something that works, and the person changes. So what you saw that didn't work isn't even here anymore. This is why when the person said that and was mocking other people, it upset me a little bit, because I was like, this is so stupid. Life is not perfect. People, like, I say this as a Libra moon, life is not perfect. People think that they are supposed to meet harmony everywhere around them, and this is not true. And you meeting someone and being disappointed doesn't mean that the person is a bad person, or that you are bad and that you have bad intuition and that you have bad judgment. It's okay. We are all making experiences, and practice makes perfect. And we are also all pretty young, because people are love to act, to pretend like they got everything together. Meanwhile, we're not even 30. Most people didn't even have their Saturn return. So a lot of people are caping. But yeah, we are making experiences. And at some point, all the experiences we will have made will allow us to be able to decide directly if things will work with someone or not. Because interacting with others is also a way of better knowing ourselves. So when you see someone, as a young person, when you see someone and you feel like you sensed something that you do not like, you are not sure. And once you make the experience, then you do know that this thing cannot work at all with you. See what I mean? So this is
I
complex.
thank you.
People are complex. We need to
Hmm.
acknowledge that.
Hmm. Just as much as you are, my multidimensional, others are as well. But the first meeting
Exactly.
impression thing, I might be a whole Scorpio stallion, so again, people just take it lightly, but I feel like we're all radio frequencies. We're all
Mm-hmm.
emitting Wi Fi, let's say, our aura. And when we meet
Mm-hmm.
people, we directly have an intuitive hit, which is called commonly a first impression, where we
This is
understand
true.
if the person is our frequency or not.
This is
And
true.
we might change our mind after because one of them was alpha and we adapted to them. And so it
Mm-hmm.
will be temporary, as you said, where we will live the experience that we adapt to, that we force ourselves to, or that we are discovering with delight, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. But ultimately, you are yourself and you are your frequency,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have to return to that. So I always feel
Exactly.
like the first impression is also the last impression.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. The first impression is very often the last impression. But what I was trying to say is that people should not feel like they are stupid for not listening to themselves. I have been feeling like this for a long time, but in the meantime, like when we do not necessarily listen to our first impression, we make experiences. Some people will call it mistakes, some people will call it lessons, but uh, to be a magician is to be able to transform things. So even if you do not listen to yourself and you go for a disappointing experience, be a magician and transform what you do not like into something that can be useful to you. This is what I'm talking about. And this is why I say that we should not just judge people like that. And also, as I said, people change. Sometimes you transform something, and while your last impression will, you know, um, corroborate in a certain manner the first impression that you had, maybe it will not be as bad because you did that magic and you still managed to do something to get a benefit from it, you know.
Exactly. It's just like the game again. You select the levels. Do you actually want to go in the Mario level where it goes through a tunnel and you discover really cool things and you get the star? It's
Exactly.
a choice. You choose if you want to go into experiences with people and you don't have to judge again. Like when you feel them and you meet the first impression, which might be the last impression, there's no need to have a judgment about those people being lazy or this or that. Like, whatever. No. Doesn't mean to happen. And you're learning from all of them. You're allowing them, their frequency, to change you.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the only moment in which we should really, really, really listen to our first impression is when we sense danger, because this has happened to me a few times before, and it is true that my intuition has not failed me. I did. If you sense danger, if you sense something really bad about someone, like I am not about to say that the person is bad or what. I am not here to judge people, but if you sense something really bad, chances are bullshit is on the way. And so if you do not want that, stay away from that. But outside of that, sometimes you have mixed feelings about people. You can feel that the person is not really it, but there is still a way to create something interesting through the interaction with the person.
Thank you for saying this. And it could be physical danger or emotional danger or psychological. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
listen to all of those. You can
Mm-hmm.
feel it when someone's about to just play you as well. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
take care of yourself. Choose. Choose wisely. Thank
Exactly.
you so much. Thank you so much. I do you have something else you'd like to talk about, or I think we've been talking for a while.
Yes, that's true. Um, no, I feel like we already said a lot of things. We could say more, but we could say more because there is so many things to say about me, society, and God. Maybe you would like to say something more about it.
Well, I would like to say we could have a second episode whenever you want. Whenever you want to come back to the podcast, just like hit me up and we can have another conversation like this because I also could speak for hours with you. So
I feel like we might have a second episode and maybe with much more direction because when I say much more direction, like this topic is so vast and I feel like there are so many ways and lenses through which we could look at to explore this topic. So maybe this could be a series or something like that. And we choose a specific lens and we observe me, society, and God through this lens. Precisely.
I would love that.
I
I
feel
would
like this
love
could
that.
be
I'm trying to see an astrological chart like separating those themes. So whenever you have a hit of intuition, you're more than like this platform belongs to you. So whenever you want. Yeah,
will do. I will.
great.
I will
So
let you know. As soon as the ID pops in my mind, you will know.
great. So thank you so much, Avaldar, for being here. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your time. And everyone, just go on and follow Avaldar, follow your work. We'll be here waiting for your book,
Thank
your
you so
books.
much. Thank you so much for inviting me. You are the
Yeah,
first person that has invited me into something like this. So thank you so much. This has been a great moment. I loved talking with you about all those things. And I truly hope that people that have been listening to us found meanings into our words and that a few epiphanies, came along the way of the conversation that we are having together. Not just us two, but the person the people that listen to us. They are responding to us in their heads. So I hope that this conversation is making sense to everyone that is listening.
exactly. Thank you so much. Is there one last thing you'd like to say about maybe me, society, and God?
I feel like I just want to remind people that um, we are we are connected to God in everything that we do, whether it is alone or with other people, and that they need to, in this day and age, in a world that suffers, people need to focus more on doing things with a purpose, not just a personal purpose, but really a purpose that is rooted in their connection with God. Like it is, if we want to create, if we want to turn this world into a better place, we need to start looking in ways that we can connect with other through through God also. People do not realize it, but like intent is important. Intent it what can it what how do I say that? Intent is what makes the connection between us and God. And we need to focus on that connection between us and God first, on intent before we connect with others. Because people are connecting with others in pretty messy ways. This is not a judgment. This is just an observation in pretty messy ways. And then we end up with things like hurt people, hurt people. I feel like we need to stop that. I feel like we need to create a healthy world together. So before thinking about society, think about you first. think about your personal connection with God, and then think about how you can bring that into the world. And this is how we create something meaningful together. And be not afraid if this connection that you have with God um, brings you on a path that is outside of the mold and doesn't correspond to any box. If the connection feels right like that, then this is the path that is meant for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So good. I loved it.